The mysterious transmission. The vast, cold darkness of space stretched endlessly before the Varnac observation ship as it floated silently in the depths of the galaxy. The Varnac, an advanced and highly intelligent species, had long ruled over their region of space, observing and classifying planets, species, and cultures. To them, Earth was just another backwater planet in the galaxy, insignificant, unimportant, or so they thought. On the bridge of the Varnac vessel, Commander Zorak sat, surrounded by his crew. They had been scanning the usual interstellar signals, collecting data from distant worlds. But then, something unexpected happened. "Commander, we're receiving an unusual transmission," said Officer Valen, the ship's communications expert. His long fingers danced over the control panel, trying to make sense of the signal. "It appears to be coming from the Terran system." Zorak raised one of his eye ridges in curiosity. "Humans," he muttered, barely interested. "They're a primitive species, aren't they?" Valen nodded. "That's what we believed, sir. They've shown no signs of space travel beyond their own solar system, and their technological level seems far below ours. However, this transmission is strange." Zorak leaned forward, intrigued now. "Strange how?" "It's highly encrypted, sir. The complexity of the signal suggests an advanced knowledge of quantum communication, far more advanced than we thought humans were capable of." That caught Zorak's full attention. He stood up from his chair and walked over to Valen's station. "Play the transmission." Valen tapped the screen, and the transmission played through the ship's speakers. At first, it was nothing but static, the usual cosmic noise that filled space. But then, a voice, clear, calm, and powerful, broke through. "This is Earth Command. To all who listen, know that we are not as you believe. We are more than what you see. We are ready, and we are watching." The transmission cut off suddenly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Zorak blinked, his mind racing. "Earth Command, what are they watching for? And what do they mean by more than what you see?" Valen looked uneasy. "I don't know, Commander, but the level of encryption on that signal, it's far beyond what we thought the humans could achieve." Zorak turned and paced across the bridge, his mind analyzing the situation. Humans, to the Varnac, were supposed to be a simple species, barely evolved, still confined to their homeworld. Yet here was a transmission that suggested otherwise, a message that hinted at hidden strength and advanced technology. "What do we know about their recent activities?" Zorak asked, stopping in front of the ship's data specialist, Officer Rax. "Not much, Commander," Rax replied, pulling up a holographic display of Earth. "They've shown some progress in space exploration, but it's limited to their solar system. However, we've detected an unusual energy signature coming from deep beneath their planet's surface. It's faint but growing stronger." Zorak narrowed his eyes. "Energy signature. Why weren't we informed of this earlier?" "It's only recently become detectable," Rax explained. "Our long-range scanners picked it up a few days ago. But at first, it seemed like a natural anomaly, nothing to worry about." Zorak shook his head, his instincts telling him there was more to this. Humans aren't supposed to be a threat, yet they send encrypted messages into space, and now there's an unknown energy source coming from their planet. Something's not right. Valen nodded. "It could be that they've been hiding something, Commander. Or maybe we've underestimated them." Zorak considered the possibility. Could humans really have advanced far beyond what the Varnac had assumed? If so, how had they hidden it for so long? The galaxy was vast, but the Varnac prided themselves on knowing everything about their neighbors. The idea that they had been blind to humanity's true potential unsettled him. "Prepare a reconnaissance team," Zorak ordered, his voice steady. "We need to investigate Earth more closely. If humans are hiding something, we'll find out." Valen hesitated. "Are you sure that's wise, Commander? If they've developed technology beyond our understanding, they may be more dangerous than we thought." Zorak waved a hand dismissively. "They're still humans. No matter what tricks they've hidden, They're no match for the Varnak Empire. This is just a precaution. But even as he spoke, doubt crept into his mind. The humans' message had been calm, confident, almost challenging. It was as if they knew they were being watched, and they didn't fear it. That alone was enough to make Zorak uneasy. "We'll proceed with caution," he added, softer this time. "But make no mistake, if the humans think they can outsmart us, they're in for a surprise." The crew began preparing for the mission, but the air on the bridge was tense. For the first time in centuries, the Varnak weren't sure of what they were dealing with, and as the ship set its course for Earth, Zorak couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to uncover something far greater than they had anticipated. Arrival at Earth. The Varnak reconnaissance ship approached Earth at high speed, its cloaking system rendering it invisible to human technology. Commander Zorak stood at the helm, eyes locked on the view of the rapidly growing planet below. "Status," Zorak demanded. "Cloaking is stable, Commander. Humans have no idea we're here," Officer Valen replied, his hands flying over the control panel. Zorak's gaze narrowed. "Good. Keep it that way." The ship pierced through space, closing in on Earth's orbit. From above, the planet appeared peaceful. Blue oceans, green forests, sprawling cities, nothing to suggest it was hiding anything extraordinary. But Zorak knew better. The mysterious transmission, the encrypted message, and the strange energy signature. They pointed to something more. "Orbital insertion in 2 minutes," Officer Rax reported. "Prepare to scan the surface," Zorak ordered. "I want to know exactly where that signal came from." As the ship settled into orbit, Rax pulled up a holographic map of Earth. The transmission originated from a location deep in the northern hemisphere, near one of their largest cities. Zorak studied the map. Zoom in. The image sharpened, revealing a sprawling urban landscape. "This is where their signal originated?" Zorak asked, frowning. "Yes, Commander. Right below this city," Rax confirmed. "But there's something strange. The energy signature beneath the surface, it's growing." "What kind of energy?" Zorak demanded. Rax hesitated, analyzing the data. "It's not like anything we've seen before. It's powerful, far beyond what humans should be capable of." Zorak's eyes darkened. "Send a probe. We need more information." A small, sleek probe detached from the ship, descending toward Earth at blinding speed. Within seconds, it had entered the atmosphere, cloaked like the mothership. The crew watched as the probe transmitted live footage from the ground. The camera zoomed in on the city, bustling with human activity. Ordinary people, going about their lives, completely unaware of the alien eyes watching them. But as the probe descended further, something caught Zorak's attention. "Hold," he barked. On the screen, beneath the surface of the city, a massive structure appeared. It was hidden deep underground, shielded by layers of rock and metal. The probe's scanners couldn't penetrate it fully, but the energy readings were off the charts. "What in the galaxy is that?" Valen whispered, eyes wide. Zorak's jaw tightened. Humans have been hiding something. Something powerful. The probe continued its descent, scanning the area. Suddenly, an alarm blared on the ship's console. "Commander, something's wrong." "The probe's being tracked," Valen shouted. "What? By humans?" Zorak asked, shocked. Before anyone could react, the feed cut off, and the probe's signal was lost. "They destroyed it," Valen muttered, stunned. Zorak's fists clenched. Humans were not supposed to be capable of detecting their technology, let alone destroying it. Whatever they were hiding was far more dangerous than the Varnak had anticipated. "Set course for the surface," Zorak commanded. "We're going in." Infiltration. The Varnak ship descended toward Earth, cloaked and undetectable. Commander Zorak watched the surface approach with growing determination. The humans had shot down their probe, an act that shouldn't have been possible. They were hiding something, and he was determined to find out what. "Commander, we are approaching the surface," Officer Rax reported. "Entering low-atmosphere cloaking protocols." "Good," Zorak replied. "Begin scanning the underground structure." The ship hovered silently above the sprawling city where the probe had been destroyed. Below, millions of humans continued their daily lives, unaware that an alien vessel was just above their heads. "Scans are picking up interference," Valen said, frustration in his voice. "Whatever's down there, it's shielding itself from our technology." Zorak leaned over the controls, eyes narrowing. "Prepare an infiltration team. We'll have to investigate this ourselves." Within minutes, the team was ready. A small group of Varnak soldiers, equipped with the latest in stealth technology, assembled in the ship's hangar. Zorak would lead them personally. This mission was too important to leave to anyone else. "Commander, are you sure this is wise?" Valen asked as Zorak prepared to depart. "The humans, they've already proven more dangerous than expected." Zorak gave him a steely look. "If humans think they can outwit us, they're mistaken. We will find out what they're hiding." With a nod, Zorak led the team into the small landing craft. It detached from the mothership and descended quickly, bypassing human detection systems with ease. Within moments, they were on the ground, cloaked in the shadows of the city's outskirts. "Activate the scanners," Zorak ordered as they began to move toward the location of the underground structure. One of the soldiers, Officer Nax, pulled out a handheld device and began scanning the ground beneath them. "The energy readings are off the charts, Commander. There's definitely something massive below us." The team moved silently through the city streets, careful to avoid being seen by the humans. They soon reached the entrance to an underground facility, cleverly disguised as a harmless utility building. It was guarded, something the Varnak had not expected. "These aren't ordinary soldiers," Nax whispered, observing the human guards. "They're heavily armed, and their gear is advanced." Zorak watched the guards closely. Their weapons and armor were far more sophisticated than the Varnak had anticipated. This was no ordinary military operation. These humans were protecting something important. "We'll need to take them out quietly," Zorak said, his voice low. "We can't risk raising an alarm." The team moved into position, their stealth technology rendering them invisible. In a matter of seconds, the guards were neutralized, their bodies falling silently to the ground. Zorak and his team slipped into the building, descending deeper into the underground facility. The deeper they went, the more advanced the technology became. This was not the primitive infrastructure the Varnak had expected from humans. The walls were lined with sleek metallic surfaces, glowing with energy signatures the Varnak had never seen before. "Commander, this technology, it's beyond anything we've encountered," Nax said, his voice tinged with awe. "It doesn't match any known human designs." Zorak's mind raced. How had the humans developed such advanced technology without the Varnak noticing? And why had they kept it hidden? "Keep moving," he ordered. "We need to find the core of this structure." As they moved deeper into the facility, they encountered more human soldiers, each group more heavily armed than the last. But the Varnak were efficient, eliminating the threats without a sound. Soon, they reached a massive door, pulsing with energy. "This is it," Zorak whispered, "the source of the energy readings." Nax began working on the door's control panel, using Varnak technology to bypass the human security systems. After a few tense moments, the door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a massive chamber inside. The room was filled with machinery, glowing with a strange otherworldly energy. At the center of the room stood a towering device, an enormous structure that seemed to pulse with power. It was like nothing the Varnak had ever seen before. "What is this?" Valen whispered, stepping forward cautiously. Zorak approached the device, his eyes wide with shock. "It's a power source," he said slowly, "but it's not human." Late. Human soldiers flooded the corridors, their weapons trained on the Varnak. The humans had been waiting for them. Zorak's eyes narrowed. It was a trap. Nax scanned the device, his brow furrowing. "Commander, this technology, it's alien, but not ours. The humans didn't build this. Zorak's mind raced as he tried to make sense of the situation. How had humans come into possession of such advanced alien technology? And more importantly, what were they planning to do with it? Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. The infiltration had been discovered. "Commander, we've been compromised," Nax shouted. "Fall back," Zorak ordered, his heart pounding. "We need to get this information back to the ship." The team raced back through the facility, but it was too. The trap unfolds. Commander Zorak's pulse raced as alarms blared, echoing through the underground facility. The humans had set a trap, and now they were closing in. His team moved swiftly, but he knew they were running out of time. "Commander, we're surrounded," Officer Nax reported, glancing at his handheld scanner. Red dots representing human soldiers filled the screen, converging on their position. Zorak gritted his teeth. "We have to break through. We can't let them capture us." The Varnak soldiers moved into formation, their cloaking devices flickering as they prepared for a fight. The corridors were narrow, offering little room for maneuvering, but their advanced stealth technology gave them an edge, at least for now. Suddenly, human soldiers appeared at the far end of the hallway, weapons raised. They were different from the ones Zorak had encountered earlier. These soldiers were heavily armored, their helmets glowing with energy fields that flickered like shields. "Fire," Zorak ordered. His team opened fire with their plasma rifles, the bolts of energy sizzling through the air. But to their shock, the humans' armor absorbed the blasts. The humans barely flinched as they advanced, their weapons humming with a low, dangerous energy. "What kind of technology is this?" Valen shouted, backing up as the human soldiers continued to close in. "They're more advanced than we thought," Nax responded, his voice tense. The human soldiers returned fire, their energy weapons cutting through the corridor like searing light. Zorak dove for cover as the blasts exploded against the walls, leaving smoking craters in their wake. "This is impossible," Zorak muttered under his breath. "Humans shouldn't have this kind of power." "Commander, we're being overrun," Valen yelled as more human soldiers poured into the corridor, forcing the Varnak further back. Zorak scanned the room, his mind racing for a solution. They couldn't fight their way out. These humans were using technology far beyond what the Varnak had expected. But there had to be another way. "Fall back to the main chamber," Zorak ordered, pointing toward the large room they had just entered. "We'll use the device." The Varnak soldiers quickly retreated into the massive chamber, where the mysterious alien device pulsed with energy. Zorak stared at it, his mind racing. He didn't know what it was, but it was their only chance. "What's the plan, Commander?" Nax asked, his breathing heavy as they barricaded the entrance. Zorak studied the device, the alien symbols and glowing panels. "We're going to activate it." "Activate it? We don't even know what it does," Valen protested. "We don't have a choice," Zorak snapped. "If the humans have figured out how to use it, we need to understand it too." Nax hurried to the control panel, his hands flying over the alien interface. "I'll try to override the security protocols. It's risky, but if we can tap into the power source." The door behind them exploded as human soldiers charged into the chamber. "They're here," Valen shouted, raising his weapon to fire. Zorak took position, returning fire as his team desperately held the line. The human soldiers advanced with precision, their energy shields absorbing most of the incoming attacks. It was a losing battle. "Nax, now," Zorak yelled as he fired at the advancing humans. "I'm working on it," Nax replied, sweat beading on his brow as he struggled to make sense of the alien technology. His fingers flew across the controls, and suddenly, the device roared to life. The entire chamber lit up with a blinding blue light. "What did you do?" Valen asked, eyes wide as the device began to hum with immense power. The human soldiers hesitated, their advance slowing as they too noticed the sudden surge of energy in the room. The alien device was reacting, its pulsing light growing brighter by the second. "I think I triggered it," Nax said, his voice shaky. "But I don't know what it's going to do." The ground beneath them trembled as the device began to emit a low-frequency hum that reverberated through the walls. Zorek's eyes widened in realization. This wasn't just a power source, it was a weapon. "Everyone, get back," he shouted. Before anyone could react, the device unleashed a shockwave of energy that tore through the chamber. The High Council's revelation. The journey back to the homeworld felt longer than it should have. Commander Zorek sat in the cockpit, staring at the swirling stars outside. His mind raced with thoughts of what they had experienced on Earth. The humans were more than just primitive beings. They were a force to be reckoned with, and their technology was unlike anything he had ever seen. As the ship glided through the void, Zorak could sense the tension in his crew. They all shared the same concern: what the High Council would say about their findings. Would they believe him? Would they understand the true power the humans possessed? "We're approaching the capital, Commander," Nax said, breaking the silence. His voice was steady, but Zorek could hear the underlying nerves. "The High Council is expecting our report." "Prepare the data we collected," Zorek instructed, his eyes still focused on the stars. "They need to see everything we found." A moment later, the ship docked smoothly in the sprawling spaceport of Zolfor Prime. The city glimmered with lights and advanced technology, a stark contrast to the chaos they had left behind. Zorak took a deep breath, steeling himself for the meeting ahead. The hatch opened, and Zorak stepped out, followed closely by his team. They walked through the bustling corridors, filled with Zolthorians going about their daily lives. But today, Zorak felt an overwhelming weight on his shoulders. As they entered the grand chamber of the High Council, the atmosphere shifted. The air was thick with anticipation. 12 seats surrounded a circular table, each occupied by a member of the council. Their expressions were serious, their eyes sharp and probing. "Commander Zorak, report," the High Chancellor said, his voice deep and commanding. Zorak stepped forward, his heart racing. "Honorable Council, we have returned from our mission on Earth. We encountered an unexpected situation." "Get to the point, Commander," another council member urged, impatience evident in his tone. Zorak took a breath, glancing at his team for support. The humans possess technology far beyond what we anticipated. During our encounter, we activated an ancient device that emitted a powerful energy surge. It caught us off guard and allowed them to push us back. Gasps filled the chamber. Zorak continued, "This device is linked to their military capabilities, and it seems they have kept it hidden until now. They are not the primitive species we believe them to be." "What do you mean?" asked Councillor Delva, her brow furrowing. "You're saying they've been holding back?" "Yes," Zorak replied, nodding. "They possess advanced weaponry, stealth technology, and a level of strategy that we underestimated. If we do not act quickly, they could pose a significant threat to our civilization." "Show us the data," the High Chancellor commanded. Nax stepped forward, activating a holographic display. Images of the alien device, their skirmishes and footage of the human soldiers appeared before the council. Gasps and murmurs echoed through the chamber as they processed the information. "This is alarming," one council member stated, glancing at his peers. "How do we know this isn't an isolated incident? Perhaps we should send a larger fleet to investigate further." "No," Zorak interjected, his voice firm. "If we send a fleet, it will be seen as an act of war. The humans may react violently, and we do not fully understand their capabilities yet. We need to tread carefully." Councillor Delva nodded thoughtfully. "What do you suggest, Commander?" "We should gather intelligence discreetly," Zorak proposed. "Send smaller scouting missions to learn more about their society and technology. We need to understand their strengths and weaknesses before making any moves." The council members exchanged glances, the tension palpable. Finally, the High Chancellor leaned forward. "You have given us much to consider, Commander. Your insights are valuable, and we must deliberate further." As the meeting adjourned, Zorak felt a mix of relief and concern. He had presented his case, but would the council take it seriously? Would they recognize the potential danger posed by the humans? As they exited the chamber, Nax turned to Zorak. "Do you think they'll listen?" "They must," Zorak replied, his voice steady. "We cannot afford to underestimate the humans again. They've proven they can defend themselves, and if we push them, they will fight back." Valen, who had been quiet during the meeting, spoke up. "What if they're not as aggressive as we think? Maybe they'll be open to negotiation." Zorak paused, considering Valen's words. "Perhaps, but we cannot rely on that. We need to prepare for every possibility." As they made their way back to their quarters, Zorak's mind was still racing. He thought of the humans they had encountered, their resilience and determination. They had surprised him at every turn, and he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to them than met the eye. Later that night, Zorak stared out at the stars from his window. The vastness of space felt daunting, but it also held endless possibilities. They had a chance to learn from the humans, to understand their world and their motivations. And maybe, just maybe, they could forge an alliance instead of a conflict. With a renewed sense of purpose, Zorak vowed to find a way to bridge the gap between their worlds. He had witnessed the strength of the humans, and he believed that together they could create a future that benefited both species. As he turned away from the window, he knew that the next steps would be crucial. The fate of their civilizations hung in the balance, and he was determined to ensure that they navigated this delicate situation with wisdom and care. A new alliance. Days turned into weeks as the High Council deliberated over Zorak's findings. The atmosphere in the council chamber was heavy with tension and uncertainty. The fate of two civilizations rested on a knife's edge, and every member knew it. Zorak found himself returning to Earth in his thoughts. He could still vividly recall the resilience of the humans, their determination, and their willingness to fight for their existence. The more he thought about it, the more he believed that the humans could be allies rather than enemies. One evening, Zorak gathered his team to discuss their next steps. "We need to establish communication with the humans," he said, his voice steady and determined. "We can't simply observe them from a distance any longer." Nax nodded. "But how do we approach them? They might see us as a threat, especially after our last encounter." "We could send a message," Valen suggested. "A diplomatic overture. Something to let them know we want to communicate." Zorak considered this. "That's a good idea. But we must be careful. We need to choose our words wisely to avoid misunderstanding." With a plan in place, Zorak and his team began drafting a message. They wanted to convey respect and a desire for cooperation. After several discussions, they finally crafted a message that reflected their intentions. Zorak activated the communication array and sent the message to Earth, hoping it would be received without incident. Meanwhile, on Earth, the military received the unexpected transmission. Commander Sarah Collins, a leader in the Earth Defense Force, was baffled. The message contained a formal greeting from Zorak, acknowledging their previous conflict and expressing a desire to establish peaceful relations. Sarah felt a mix of skepticism and curiosity. After the chaos they had endured, could they trust the aliens? She called a meeting with her top officers, laying out the transmission for them to evaluate. "What do you think?" she asked, glancing at her colleagues. "Is this a trap?" Captain Ramirez, her second-in-command, shook his head. "It's hard to say. They attacked us, but now they want to talk. It's suspicious." Dr. Lee, the team's scientist, leaned in. "But think about it. If they truly possess advanced technology, wouldn't they benefit more from an alliance with us rather than continued conflict?" Sarah pondered this. "We can't ignore the possibility that they might want to learn more about us. Perhaps they see value in collaborating." After much deliberation, the team agreed to respond positively but with caution. They would send a message back, accepting the offer for dialogue, but they would also ensure their defenses remained at the ready. Days passed, and both sides awaited a response. Zorak felt the weight of anticipation pressing down on him. He had risked everything to reach out, and now it was in the hands of the humans. Finally, the communication array blinked to life. Zorak gathered his team, and they crowded around the display, hearts racing. The message from Earth appeared before them, bearing an invitation for a face-to-face meeting on a neutral location, an asteroid base located midway between their two worlds. "It's happening," Zorak said, a sense of excitement building in him. "Prepare the ship for departure. We're going to meet them." As they traveled to the asteroid base, Zorak felt a mix of hope and apprehension. What if this meeting changed everything? They had the potential to redefine their destinies, and he was determined to ensure they did it right. When they arrived at the asteroid base, Zorak and his team stepped onto the rocky surface. The air was filled with anticipation as they awaited the arrival of the humans. Moments later, a sleek human ship touched down nearby, and a group of humans disembarked. Zorak's eyes were drawn to Commander Sarah Collins as she stepped forward, flanked by her officers. He could see the wariness in her stance, the way she assessed their surroundings. "Commander Collins," Zorak greeted, extending a hand. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." Sarah hesitated, then shook his hand, her grip firm. "We have a lot to discuss." Zorak nodded. "I agree. Our previous encounter was a misunderstanding, and I believe we have much to gain from working together." The two leaders moved toward a shaded area, where they could converse without distractions. As they spoke, Zorak learned more about the humans, about their culture, their values, and their determination to protect their world. Sarah listened intently as Zorak shared details about their civilization, emphasizing the Zolforian commitment to peace and cooperation. As the conversation deepened, the initial tension began to dissipate. They found common ground in their desires for peace and understanding. "Perhaps we can establish a communication line," Sarah suggested. "If we can share information regularly, we can prevent future conflicts." Zorak agreed, feeling the surge of hope. "Yes, and we can collaborate on technological advancements as well. Together, we can achieve greater things." As the meeting continued, they exchanged ideas and visions for the future. Zorak could see that the humans were not only willing to work together, but also eager to build a new relationship. At the end of the day, Zorak and Sarah stood side by side, looking out at the stars. "This is just the beginning," Zorak said, a smile forming on his face. "Yes, it is," Sarah replied, her expression brightening. "Together, we can create a future where both our worlds thrive." With that, a new chapter began for both civilizations. They had faced the darkness of misunderstanding and conflict, but now they stood on the brink of a promising alliance. Zorak felt a renewed sense of purpose as he looked toward the future, knowing that together they could achieve great things. The universe was vast, but with their combined strength, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.